Hey guys, just going to do a short little video on my Cub Cadet 129. This is a 1973 model Cub Cadet, the 129 with the hydrostatic drive and the 12 horse Kohler K301A engine. A little history on this tractor. I just acquired it this year from my uncle, who, to my knowledge, owned the tractor for at least the last couple decades. And as you can see from the body condition, and as I witnessed myself in the engine when I rebuilt it, is just in exceptional condition for being 40 some years old. So I'm just thrilled to be the owner of this little tractor. I did a recent rebuild on the engine. Took it apart. I didn't do a total disassembly on it. Took the oil pan off, the crank, the piston, not the crank, the connecting rod and the piston and all that stuff. Everything mic'd out to be within wear limits, so I didn't take the crank and the camshaft out and all that stuff. The balance gears I kept inside the engine as well. I didn't need to replace the piston. It was within wear limits. It was a standard piston, so it's never been rebored in the 41 years that it's been in service, and so I was just thrilled to be able to use a standard piston again. I did the rings are pretty expensive. They're about $70 a set, and so I found a set of Kohler rings with a piston on eBay for $100 with shipping. So I decided to spend the extra $30 and put in a new piston while I had it apart. So it does have a new piston, new standard piston and rings. The connecting rod was in exceptional condition, so I was able to reuse the connecting rod. I did replace both of the valves, intake and the exhaust valve, with stellite valves, and lap those in. The valve seats look to be in great condition still, so I did not have any machining work done on the engine block. I did a little bit of cleanup in the engine, and hone the cylinder. So I'm going to do a startup. It's almost ready for a startup. I'll attach that to this video as well. My 7-year-old daughter is going to do the first startup on it, since she helped me out a little bit wrenching here. So we're pretty excited about that. I'll post a picture of the tractor when I got it. I've done a few other upgrades to it. Most notable is the seat. My uncle had I think it was the original seat on it, and it was pretty worn out. So I'm using this tractor for my 3 acres. So gonna see a lot of seat time. So I decided to spend the money and get a new seat for it. A couple other things that I've done to it. Replace the tie ends on the steering on both ends, and on the tie rod on both ends. So the four new tie end, the ball ends, those should last a lifetime. The other ones were pretty worn out, and this upgrade, according to David Kirk of Kirk Engines, who's been a great help in just providing advice and upgrades for this tractor engine and for the chassis. These will help the steering out quite a bit, tighten everything up. Also, for the steering, I did what Dave calls the super steer upgrade. You can see on the steering box there, instead of just having two lock nuts on the end of that mechanism there, he has an upgrade that includes a lock nut, a nylon lock nut, and a thrust bearing, which makes the steering quite a bit nicer, looser, and keeps it's loose. It's more free steering, not necessarily loose steering, I should say. While I had the engine out, I decided to rebuild the steering mechanism. Take this up here. Decided to rebuild the steering mechanism since that would be easy to get out with the engine out. So I took that apart. Did replace the cam follower. Here's some extra mold parts. The cam follower, as you can see, let me get a little glare there, but as you can see, the cam follower was pretty worn out. There were quite a few flat spots. I don't have a lathe or a drill press with which I could try and fix it up. So I found a site, a website online. I don't have the guy's contact info here right now. Actually, I do. Machine Tech Direct. For $13, he sent me a new cam follower and extra ball bearings for the steering unit. So put new ball bearings and that cam follower in the steering box, and of course new grease. Cleaned it all out first and greased that up. So the steering does seem to be quite a bit nicer than it was. So one other thing that I did also, I'm not sure if we can see down in here, on the hydrostatic lever mechanism, found this upgrade from a guy on forums. You can see the two nylon washers there. Those are 1/2 inch inside diameter washers. Those really make a big difference in the smoothness of that hydro lever. I do have some other issues with the hydro being a little bit jumpy, so I'm going to fix those hopefully soon. But this does make the hydro lever quite a bit smoother and just a really easy upgrade. So there's a spacer bushing that is original to these, but you take that out and use these, I think they're about an 1/8 inch thick, 2 nylon washers on both ends, and it really makes this hydro lever really nice and smooth. So I'm pretty pleased about that upgrade. A real low cost upgrade. Replaced lots of bolts on the tractor as I was going through it. New grade 8 head bolts. There's 2 studs on the cylinder head that I didn't replace, reused those, but the bolts are all new, grade 8 bolts, torque to spec. Did a few upgrades also from David Kirk. Got an updated plug wire here. Let's see what else. As you can see, the tractor is just really in awesome shape. There are a few little dents in the metal work here, but honestly they can be fixed very easily. A little bit of surface rust on scratches and whatnot, but other than that, there's nothing that can't be repaired on this tractor pretty easily. So this is the rear gearbox on it for the tiller attachment, which I also have the IH tiller attachment. Also have the snowblower attachment for the front mount. So haven't used either of those yet, but my uncle did say that he used the tiller for his garden, so I know it's in good operating condition. So looking forward to using those sometime soon. The dash, for being 40 years old, is really in excellent shape. Some of the decals are pretty worn, but thinking about someday taking this thing apart and just really doing a restoration on it. I've seen a couple of them done on YouTube. One guy watched, I think, 2.5 hours of his videos of him restoring a 129. So I know it can be done, lots of work, but they're just such a fantastic piece of equipment. Just, I think, really worth the effort to keep them in good running shape. I did rebuild the carb earlier this year. So that's the original Kohler carb, which is made by Carter. It's a number 26 carburetor. One other upgrade that I did, and this is from David Kirk, also of Kirk Engines. He makes the point saver ignition device, and I think that's about a $25 item. And this supposedly will really help keep the points in good shape. Doesn't wear the points nearly as much, so this set of points should last me decades. So it's not electronic ignition, but it's pretty darn good for these breaker points ignition setup. So got that installed, mounted it on here with two screws on the flywheel housing here, and made it really easy to set the timing also. The resulting points gap, I think, is around 22,000 switches. Not the 20 that Kohler says, but it's actually the perfect timing for this engine. So with that, don't need the condenser any longer, but I just have it mounted here. I probably will leave it there just for the original look. So the green, of course, the green lead gets grounded. I've got that grounded down here to the flywheel housing attachment, which is a point that Dave recommends. The red lead goes up here to the negative terminal on the ignition coil, and then the black lead, of course, winds up down here, connected to the breaker points. So put new points on it earlier this year, and I still need to hook up the governor linkage in the throttle. Haven't. That's the last thing I need to connect here. But probably, sorry for the extra long carriage bolt. That's not ideal, but I didn't have the old carriage bolt was pretty worn out, so I'm going to replace it, but I didn't have a shorter carriage bolt, so that's what I'm using for now. The muffler looks pretty worn out. Maybe at some point in the future I'll see if I can get a good replacement for that. The hood's in very good shape. A couple welding spots here. There were some welding modifications here, but everything is just really in fantastic shape. The front here, not banged up. A lot of these old lawn tractors have seen use and abuse over the years, but this one I know has been stored in a Quonset garage pretty much most of its life, as you can tell. Otherwise, this thing would be totally rusted out. So yeah, that's the tractor. As I said, I'm absolutely thrilled to own this tractor, and looking forward to the first startup very soon. As I said, my daughter's gonna turn the key on it. I'm pretty excited to have her do that, and we'll go through the break-in procedure. I've got 30 weight conventional oil in it, and judging from the look of the motor, I know that oils have changed over the years since 40 years ago when this tractor was made, and they recommended straight 30 weight for most applications. I know in colder weather you can use a multi-viscosity oil, but I think for the summer, I'm just going to stick with the 30 weight conventional oil, judging from how the engine looked and how it's been taken care of. I think just regular oil changes with conventional oil. Why change something if it works? So I'm going to stick with that. Although I do like the synthetic oils in a lot of applications. I'm going to stick with the 30 weight in this guy. So looking forward to the first startup. I'll attach that video, as I said, later here, and you can see how the Kohler runs. I don't have a lot of money into this tractor. I have put a little into it, but I figured a new lawn tractor is going to cost me $1,500, and is not gonna run nearly as long as this old Cub Cadet will. So thanks for watching. Again, thanks especially to my Uncle Don, who gave this tractor to me, and I'm just really proud to own it. I'm proud to know that it's been in the family for a long time, and more so, I'm just happy to have something that I can tinker on. It's my first real project vehicle, and just a real great piece of American-made machinery back when they made stuff to last. And 43 years at this point, it's hard to argue with that success in engineering and manufacturing. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Also, thanks to David Kirk of Kirk Engines. I'll try to post a link to his website. And Brian Miller, Garden Tractor Pulling. Brian does a lot of stuff and has just a wealth of information on these old Cub Cadets and Kohler single-cylinder engines. So thanks to them as well. Thanks for watching.